This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome, as always, to the Note Closer Show. As always, I'm your host, Scott Carson. It is a gorgeous day again here in Austin, Texas. I love with fall kind of slowly kicking its way into the season, just the weather and kind of the energy. I know my old dog walks with a little bit more of a bounce in her step when she comes outside in the morning. I kind of feel the same way, too. Rolling out of bed and having the AC off and then opening with the windows. You're like, ooh, I either need to close the window, put another blanket on. But we are excited to have, as always, our good friend, my brother from another mother, one of my best friends, Aaron Young, joining us this morning. So good morning, Aaron. Thanks for getting up a little bit early there in your West Coast home and making the drive down the mountains to the office this morning.
Yeah, Scott, it's good to be here. I love first of all, I love doing anything with you. But I, as I told you right before we started driving down the mountain, so the listeners may not know, I live up in the mountains on a 25-acre little hobby farm, and because it's normally rainy this time of the year, and black when you get up in the morning. This morning I got up; it was a blue sky day. The sun was just coming up. The fall leaves are like in full glory here, and I thought, man, I'm so glad I'm up and driving in the car, not sitting in the house, sitting at my desk at my house. I'm glad I was driving down into town to my little set where we do our recording. But anyway, yeah, I'm delighted to be here. Always great to be with you.
It's kind of funny. I just had an analogy here with the sun being shiny and you also talking about how it's a gorgeous day there. It kind of reminds me of how I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel when they're able to kind of walk away from some things a little bit or delegate things, or it's like you like to say, unshackle themselves. We do it dramatically. Unshackle, raw.
Feeling good, unshackled. Yeah,
themselves from I won't say day to day because you still have to run day to day. You still have to do things, kind of unshackle themselves from a lot of the burden or the ball and chain that sometimes our jobs, our businesses can kind of become. Right?
Oh yeah. This being able to, like the old expression about stop and smell the roses, or, enjoy the sunrise, or pay attention to the leaves. It's when you're not racing to get to somebody else's agenda and you can kind of do what you want to do. It's a pleasure. And yeah, you have to take care of day to day, but really my day to day, this is no joke, no kidding around. My day to day now is less about what are the details that are happening at Laughlin Associates, the details happening with real estate that we hold, but it's much less about that. And it really is things like I'm looking out the window going, I wonder if it's time to do some herd health on the goats. I wonder if it's time we better start raking those leaves or they're going to get all matted down. So now granted, I got up this morning, drove here, put on a clean shirt so I could be on with you. And I'm going to get on an airplane a little while and fly to Southern California, give a talk, give a couple talks actually. But so I guess that's my day to day. But we get to pick and choose because we have built a life where we are unshackled and we get to do the things we love to do and don't have to do stuff that sucks. And it's amazing that, I watch this with your students. There are so many people that could live a life that's more their intentions versus somebody else's, but you've got to learn some new tricks, right? You got to learn some new stuff. When people come to you, I'm thinking of, what is it, David Arciso? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Greg's actual father, actually. Yeah, Dave.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't even know that we were going to have that
Greg
little
in the office here this morning. There he is.
Oh, how you doing? Okay, but anyway, I was thinking of when I met him at a Embassy Suites hotel somewhere in Texas. And him and another cop,
Tim Dillon, up in Dallas, yeah.
And they were both trying to get done with their jobs and kind of learn the stuff from you. And now I watch on Facebook and I see these people that, and David's doing great stuff, and he's got really cool blogs he's putting out. His life is expanding because he learned some new things besides having the job working for the whichever agency he worked for. And he's one of those guys that's kind of quiet, kind of understated, serious, but you learn some things, and all of a sudden you get to start taking affirmative control and magnifying the things that matter to him, the way he helps other people and serves other people, but magnify it and have more opportunity to do stuff you love. And so, yeah, everybody, well, I don't know if I say everybody, but most people could do this stuff if they just learn how to do it and then take a little bit of bold action, even when they're scared.
I think that's a really good point, the way to say that. Taking action when you're scared is always the most difficult thing, because you have you're scared of the unknown. You have fear, false evidence appearing real. Is one of the favorite things I love to look at. If you're scared of something, at least give it a try, because you will often find that it doesn't even happen. The worst rarely happens. It's instead of what if it does work? You know what I mean? And
what if it works?
Yeah.
What if you succeed? How would that feel?
Yeah. Exactly.
Maya Angelou said, do something that scares you every day. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's so much value in getting out of your rut and out of your comfort zone and do something, and whatever it is, maybe it's drive a different route to work today, and you don't know if you'll be late or not, but you're going to just try a different roads, or invest in something, or say yes to some interesting committee or just do something. You go, geez, I don't know if I'm qualified for that, but just do it. It's, your life will get a lot more interesting when you take a few calculated risks, or just take bold action, and you'll have more fun. You'll be happier.
Yeah, I like to kind of call it adjust your tribe, because a lot of us get going to the same places, we hang out with the same people, we go to the same events, and sometimes it's just nice to pluck yourself out of that and go something new. I mean, we try to do that at least a couple times a year. Go someplace that we're not surrounded by the same people. I mean, I know I like going to digital marketing stuff because it helps me kind of evolve my business to be more unshackled, but it also gives me an opportunity to be outside of my traditional kind of note box, where I'm hearing other ideas and learning from other experts to kind of really identify opportunities that I may be overlooking because I'm just so used to being so close to it. You know what I mean? That makes sense, Aaron?
It does make sense. It does make sense. Is our internet connection okay?
Yeah, your internet's fine. Why?
Okay. It was kind of breaking up here a minute ago. I want to make sure you could hear me before I said something really brilliant.
I want to hear brilliance. Brilliance, please.
No, it's really important to be around different people. It's really important to not just sort of listen to people, because you can get on podcasts like this, or you can you can follow some of the great minds in the world that are out there on television or radio or podcasts. What's really interesting is when you actually get to sit down and talk to them, or if not them, who else was attracted to come close to sit at the feet of that, particular expert and learn. And because I guarantee you, if people only listen to this podcast, if that's all the interaction they have with Scott Carson, they'll benefit, but they're only going to benefit so much. If they come to your event and you're busy the whole time, but they get to hang around with other people in the tribe who are successfully buying notes and flipping or holding or doing, renegotiating, they're going to be a lot smarter than just listening to the podcast. And if they actually got to sit down with you or be involved in any of your, more smaller trainings, that I've watched you, where it's really like roll up our sleeves and get to work, they're going to learn a lot more. So yeah, adjust your tribe, get in with some other people, and try to get out of the place where you're always comfortable and go over and see something new. This is a weird thing to say, and I'm going to go off on a weird tangent here. But I grew up in a very conservative home, a very conservative religion, and my belief system around capital punishment, right, the death penalty, was just cut and dry. It was good and people needed it. And why should we pay for people to be in prison and, that are clearly evil, bad people, right? I believe that. Then I went live and my wife took me, my brilliant wife took me to see Sister Helen Prigine, who, wrote Dead Man Walking and she'd been in the trenches in these death row prisons. Mm-hmm. And I listened to the facts around who gets the death penalty, and what happens in the courts and how often science is overturning things. And in an hour, my perspective that had been always so cut and dry became not so clear, because I learned things I didn't know. And there's so much crap that we just think is right in our life. Somebody told us we were supposed to do it. This is what our friends are doing. This is what our parents did. And this is how it is. And we shouldn't expect more. And there's all this garbage that people just accept. And it isn't really true. The world is so much bigger. And just because someone has an opinion of this is as good as it gets for somebody like me, doesn't mean that's true at all. But if you get into a different place, my brother, who was kind of into some wild and woolly things in his younger days, he said to me one day, he said, "You don't even live in the real world, Aaron." And I said, "I live in the real world. I just live in a different world than you." And my world view was completely different. He was worried about people shooting him. He was worried about, he was running drugs, back in the day. And he really was afraid for his life all the time. And he's like, "Oh, Aaron, you just go to church and go to Boy Scouts and, have your little family and live in the suburbs. And that's not the real world." I'm like, "Oh, it's totally the real world, dude." It's the same thing with our business opportunities, with our financial situation. There's so much stuff that people just think, "Oh, well, this is how it is. This is how it is." And then you all of a sudden listen to a 45-minute talk or something and you go, "How the heck did I not know that?" Mm. Like, how did I not know about flipping or buying notes? How did I not know you could buy what you've told me some crazy stories about buying stuff for, a few $1,000s. And what was the trailer thing that you bought it and then you sold it for scrap or something?
I bought a house in Detroit, Michigan a while back for $500. I paid for the debit card and it needed a lot of work. So I found a scrap metal guy to come out and buy it for me for $1,500 like 2 days later.
So somebody else is working for $20 an hour, $15 an hour, and Scott's showing up in Detroit and making $1,000 by making some phone calls and having a debit card.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to.
It was interesting. I should write a deal book on some of the crazy stories we had. We one time hired a lady of the night who was living in a house next to our rehab here in Austin, and she became one of the best property managers I've ever had.
Wow. Well, I'm sure she knows how to deal with difficult people. And
she worked out to manage her time on an hourly basis.
But see, a lot of people would say, "I don't want to have anything to do with her." Right? She's living a life that I can't condone. Right? And mostly it's going to be people who are very, very, very conservative, let's just say, right? Who will say, I'm not, that person's not worthy of me being involved. Mm-hmm. But then, their leader, those people's leader, JC, right, was the one who was always forgiving people and always giving them a second chance and saying, so what we want to do is get out of our rut, get out of our little self, created fantasy world. And fantasy could be, I just can't make any more money. I'm only good for $25 an hour. I'm just trying to put in another 15 years till I get my pension. Right. And say, hey, I wonder what I could do with $500 in Detroit besides, I don't know, whatever.
But I think that's a good point, because I think a lot of people get used to working in their jobs and they get to, they surround themselves with people that have the same beliefs, even though they may have bigger dreams for themselves. Yeah, and and I don't want to say brainwashing, but it's kind of that brain. You start to settle for yourselves. I call it kind of the dream settling aspect of things, where we all dream of one day being the Yankee center fielder, who's hitting home runs, or a firefighter or a police officer doing big things. And some people do that, and it's great. But then sometimes those dreams that we have for ourselves aren't what they are. I mean, I look back at the last 15 years of my life, and I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I graduated from college at 24, and I thought I'd be the next I wanted to be an ESPN sports anchor. That's what I thought I'd be.
Yeah.
Or in journalism. I would be really good at it. Yes, I would.
I'm not kidding. You'd be good at that.
I'm not arguing. I will totally agree with you that I would be really good at it. I get a face for radio. But what I'm trying to get at is somebody always asks me, Steph gives me a hard time sometimes. Scott, you're different than a lot of people because you put in time and things like that. And I said, I know a lot of people who they're working full time, but then they put the extra time in after hours to do something different. And yes, it's a struggle initially squeezing that stuff in at 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week. But that little bit of time they put in themselves is kind of, it's like having a nail file, filing that chain in the handcuffs that we set for ourselves, or the limitations that people give for us. And it's not always easy to do that, especially when you're the only one that has belief in yourself. And finding people that will give you that file. Yeah, is what you need to do. Yeah,
but you've got to believe in yourself. I mean, here's the deal: if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to? Yeah, everybody else has got their own hangups and their own stuff in their life. If you're listening to this podcast right now, and you know there's more out there than just what you're doing right now, and you don't know how to get your hands around it, but you know for sure there's got to be more. First of all, you're doing the right thing by listening to the podcast, because that means you're doing more than almost everybody else. You're trying to learn some new stuff. But it doesn't matter how much, this is going to be a corny example, but it doesn't matter how many books you read on riding a bicycle. You don't really know how to ride a bicycle till you go get on a bike and you start to pedal and you feel off balance and you fall down a few times, and you get nervous going around the corner there, and pretty soon you're riding with no hands and jumping off the curbs, and you're going, oh, this is so much better than walking. Yeah. This is so much better than what I was doing before. But you've got to get out of the books a little bit and get onto the bike. You got to get on the bike.
There we go. Hashtag, write that down, Greg. Hashtag get on the bike.
Get on the bike.
Get on the bike.
You're such a good marketer. I can say it, but you'll make money with it.
Well, but but that's the way life is. A lot of times people think it, but they never act on it. They sit around thinking about what they want to do, what they want to become. I mean, I'm even telling my staff here, like, what do you guys want to do in the next year? Greg, are you going to make any offers at some point? He's laughing because we had this conversation like a week ago, didn't we? Yeah. And people I don't think have that sometimes, because they just start to settle, and it drives me bonkers. Look, everybody has rough times. All right.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has rough times. We have had our ups, we've had our downs, we've had our dry spells on different things. There are days I'm like, oh, come on, let's go. Let's get this thing rocking. So it's not always happy, joy, yay, but that happy, joy in my face. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, having a rough kind of afternoon on stuff. I literally am like, come on. I literally said something to myself. I was like, I'm okay. Everything's fine. I'm going to get through this little low spot. And literally the phone rings, and literally the hair stands on the back of my neck. It's a guy that I talked to a couple weeks ago in Houston at an event, called me out of the blue and just visited with me for like 20 minutes. I'm going to see him Thursday night. And I literally hang up the phone and I'm like, there you go. That's a sign right there that everything is going to be okay. What we're going through or whatever we're dealing with is all short-term stuff, unless I let it become long-term things. Right.
The other yes. And let's go a step further. Yes. So you'd put in time. So this guy knew who you were, right? The sign that came to you, but came from somebody that you'd already made some investment in. There was some connection before yesterday.
A 5 to 10 minute conversation in Houston on a Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. But do you know, yesterday I found my son pulled out 4 of these little cards, and they have writing on them, and I'm not going to hold it up because it's personal information, but 4 of these little cards. And I asked my assistant, I said, these are from like May or something, or April. And I don't know what, it's a shame that these 4 of the stack that we had got lost, got mislaid. But I wrote to my assistant and I said, would you please just write to these people basically with this message and see if any of them would like to get on the phone or engage, because they may have forgotten who I am completely. Mm-hmm. I got an email back from my assistant copying an email from one of the 4 people saying, I can't believe your timing. I've had my desk piled with papers and stuff. And I kept Aaron's book that I picked up at that event on my desk for inspiration. And it had gotten kind of piled up. Yeah, that book had gotten piled up with stuff. And she said, I just cleaned my desk and I found his book and I set it back up right where I can see it because I know I need to work with him. And I needed to be, and she goes, I can't believe that. I just cleaned it out from under the piles and put it back up in front of me, and I got your email. So is it magic? Maybe there's meaningful synchronicity, but it's only because she went to the event, I went to the event, she went to hear me talk, she filled out a card, she got a book, whatever. I mean, all these, and I found the cards, had to reach out again. I mean, after 6 months or something, but this stuff that comes as the sign in the moment always comes because there was something else already done. And you've got to keep priming the pump, right? You got to keep priming the pump. And then all of a sudden you get the gusher of water out of the pump. But if you don't do those things to prime the pump, to keep it operating, nothing happens. So if you sit around in your spare bedroom where your office is, or your whatever, or you dream about it from your cubicle, nothing will happen. You have to take it, and then you'll get miraculous stories.
Then you create, but that whole initial taking action or making the investment is honestly it's creating your own luck, because I'm a big believer things don't usually happen like that. You've got to put the work in, and stuff will happen in 6 months or 6 weeks. As long as you keep showing that, because I think a lot of people are sitting around looking for social proof that you're going to stick in the game. And for those of you that are out there in a job or have done a variety of different, let's just say, I won't say multi-level things, but done other things to bring in like extra income to help you get ahead in life, a lot of you have gone from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing and chased the different shiny object syndrome and burnt your bridges along the way because you've given your pitch to all your friends and relatives.
Yeah, multiple times. And they're like, not another one.
Yeah, I don't need any soap on a rope. I don't need multivitamins. I don't need any dish drops. Whatever all that stuff is. Yep. It's critical, though. I mean, finding something, sticking to it, and going from there. But you also have to kind of have a plan of action and kind of have a good foundation. And that's what we love about you guys, Aaron, is you really help put things in order. And so that people can be doing a lot better later in life going forward versus working from a shoestring budget or just a Band-Aid kind of foundation basis. And then they got to go back and fix everything, then go forward. I only speak because that's one of the things that I did earlier on. Didn't do things right. That I should have set things up differently and had to spend time refixing it later on when it was a lot more costly versus forward, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners make that mistake.
Yeah. And as you said, sticking in the game, we've been doing it 46 years now. So it's, we were here 20 years ago. We'll be here in 20 years. We're not going anywhere. We keep providing services that small businesses need. And my goal, Scott, my goal as an individual is there's a very high percentage of business failure, right? About 80% of first companies fail in the first 3 years. And 50% of all companies fail within the first 5 years. So the reason most of them fail is because they were either, well, it could be some or all, but they're underfunded. Well, first of all, maybe their idea wasn't that great, or maybe the idea was ahead of its time, or I've seen people with brilliant ideas, but the market's not ready for them yet. but it's usually the idea, or it's the lack of funding, or it's the lack of processes that can keep the business moving forward. And I've decided that my legacy is going to be to shrink the number of failures and help more companies survive. Because in 2015, 86% of the gross domestic product for the United States, 86% of GDP came from companies of 50 employees or less.
Wow.
So small companies are the backbone of the country. And the more we can help small businesses in the United States and anywhere else be successful, the better the communities are going to be, the happier the families are going to be, the less poverty there's going to be, the more innovation there will be, the stronger the tax base will be for other government, programs to help support people that can't support themselves, or build roads or defend borders or whatever the governments do. I've just decided that's my deal. I'm 53. I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm doing it more intentionally now to say we can have a greater percentage of companies succeed, and that will make a giant difference. I don't care what's going on with the stock market. I mean, the stock market is, some very wealthy people, some very wealthy companies, and then maybe your IRA or 401k is going up, and that's awesome. But most of the people in the country are not living the improvement in their life that some people who are saying, well, look at the stock market, right? That very few people are making wealth there. The workaday people, the ones that are closer to the ground, they need help, because an extra $5,000 a month to them is world changing. Mm-hmm. It's life changing. And that's what I love about what you do. It's what I love about what I do, because we're helping people go to I tell you, an extra $60,000 a year. I mean, that changes where somebody lives. It changes, the opportunities for their children. It changes. And we can do that. We can help these companies. We can help people not crash and burn, right? We can help people, even in your business, where, you could say, well, to some extent you're taking advantage of somebody else's misfortune. But I don't see that really that way, because if people are trying to do the right thing, even against all the odds, you guys, I see people in your business, you're helping them out. You're bailing them out. You're helping them stay in homes. You're making homes that were, kind of derelict. You get them cleaned up and get them working and get people in them again. And yeah, you make money from that, but they also get a home, someplace to live, someplace to be safe, someplace to have their family. And so the things that we do matter, you and I, and we need as many people as possible to learn the skills so that they can get in the game. And if they want to look, if somebody wants to be in a job, they're probably not listening to this show. But for those people who want to do something more with their life and make a bigger dent in the community and have a better experience, something as simple as saying, I want to go, because, with you and I, well, it's me and Steph, right? We both like Disney World, right? So, and actually my wife does too. So you're going to have to get in the game here, Scott. But, but just to be able to say, we're going to be able to go spend a few $100 to go in the gate, and we're going to buy expensive hot dogs, and we're going to have this magical experience, right? Because we can, instead of always going, oh, somebody else, my life sucks. We don't have to live that life. And guys, if you're listening to me right now, you don't have to live that life. You can have a much bigger life. And it always starts with very simple, faltering, scary baby steps, like Scott Carson, who sold all of his belongings and got in his pickup truck and started driving around the country for 3 years to go out and try to look at deals and buy deals, right? Sold everything, put it all on the line, whatever. Anyway, I don't know. I'm getting very philosophical here. I don't know what you wanted to talk about today, but I feel like we're kind of...
I think it's a good thing. Unshackling yourself takes changing the philosophical mind, I think, a little bit. A lot of people get stuck into the things, and they just got to change it. One of the great things I love, and it's actually, I want to get to this a little bit, is you've got an event coming in about 3 weeks that is honestly, guys and gals, it's one of the events that we look forward to the most because, yes, everybody knows that we do notes is one thing, and that we're the best at what we do come marketing. Okay. But one of the biggest things that we look forward to is going to Laughlin, your event you guys have here with all the speakers you have, because we always literally get something that impacts our bottom line almost immediately.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. We've been producing these seminars for, I don't know, 30 years. And we used to do lots of them. And in today's day and age, it's easier to communicate people like this. Podcasts, on video, virtual. You do. Sorry, boy, this water is bubbly and it's bubbling. Anyway, you do these great virtual events. And so we don't do 80 events anymore like we used to. We do 2 a year, spring and fall. So this next one, November 17, 18, 19. And we call it Magnify Your Wealth. And the reason I used to be called The Secrets of Using a Corporation Workshop. The Secrets of Using a Corporation Workshop. Now, believe it or not, that was a really good title for the event. People loved that title because they were like, I have one, but I don't really know what I'm doing with it. But I thought we can still teach all the secrets of using a corporation or an LLC, but we can also talk about, once you've figured out those things, what can you do with it? And how can you invest in real estate? Or how can you set up a trust? Or how can you do a family foundation? Or how can you whatever? How can you do different stuff once you understand how to use the tools? And so I'm really glad you liked the event, because Magnify Your Wealth, the Magnify Your Wealth Summit, is designed to work with somebody who's at the very beginning and trying to say, what's the roadmap that I need to follow to get wealthy? And it's also for people, and you've met them, there's some really, people with, 80, 100, $200 million net worth that are there. And those people are looking for, okay, I'm looking for large land deals. I'm looking for large, I want to buy a resort. I've just done something new. I've just built a new hotel in Hawaii, and I need to make sure that I've got all the asset protection stuff done right. Right. So how cool is it to have people that are on that whole story arc from beginner to wildly successful to getting ready to sell all their stuff and go off and be give back in some way, or go on a mission for their church, or run for office, or, it's pretty cool to see what people do once they've built wealth and they've figured it out. Anyway, the event is great for anybody who's serious about being in business. And it's not a fluff.
It's not a fluff event. No, by no means. It's a website with www.growin2017.com. Yeah, growin2017.com. Yeah, you can register there. We've got about, I was telling you right before we came on, Scott. So we limit it to 100 people. That's a legit thing. And the reason is because we want Scott Carson and Kevin Day and Jim Conaway and, on and on and on. We want all the speakers to be able to, we want our attendees to be able to sit down with you guys and get FaceTime with people that they normally wouldn't be able to get FaceTime with on their particular estate and what they're doing. And the only way we can do that and give everybody the opportunity to have meetings is if we limit the attendance. Now, and people have said, well, why don't you could have this be 300, 400 people, 500 people. I'm like, yeah, but then we would lose this opportunity to change people's lives by giving them stuff, like you said, that can really impact their life right away. So it's 100 people, give or take, because sometimes somebody's guest won't come, or they'll show up with one of their kids or something that we didn't expect, but it's about 100 people. It's in San Diego. They're at the Dana Resort, right on Mission Bay. Beautiful place. People said, why did you move your events from Lake Tahoe to Mission Bay? I'm like, are you kidding? Why would you even ask me that question? You really
Lake Tahoe is beautiful, but it's this time of year it's often snowing at Lake Tahoe and very cold. No, everybody likes to go to San Diego in November. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to you guys being there, and we've got some new people that haven't spoken before. We have kind of the team, and then we always bring in some extra people that will add a lot of new value, and I think that's why people come they try to come, maybe not every time, but maybe every year come to one of the events.
Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of the concepts that that Scott go through and that you guys discuss in the literally kind of the step-by-step basis. I mean, it takes a little while. I know it took me at least 2 to absorb a lot of the things that you guys were sharing initially. And that's why we love having you come on the virtuals and stuff like that, because it's important information, how to set your life up, your business life up, so that later on you can enjoy it more, but avoid a lot of the headaches, avoid a lot of the hassles that can come along with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I hope people come. I mean, I know a bunch of people are going to come, but if anybody is listening to this and they're thinking it's time to step up their game, or they're already in business and they're like, I know I don't know everything, and I've got too much here to lose. And a lot of people will say, well, I have a lawyer that I talk to. I'll tell you what, this training is accredited for continuing education for lawyers and accountants. There's a lot of stuff that attorneys. I had an attorney at that the thing we were both at in Anaheim or City of Orange recently.
Yeah.
I had a lawyer come up to me after my talk and said, "I'm so glad you talked about this, because I knew a little bit about it, but they didn't teach us any of this stuff in law school. And I'm so glad I heard it from you, and I'm going to be your customer." And it was great. But I see that all the time. The people that you think are supposed to be these magical experts. I've got a great friend who got a Harvard MBA and has done very, very big things in business. And he still comes to me for lots of business advice, because he said, "I've never done the stuff that you do. I don't know the stuff that you do. Teach me about that." And I can do the same with him. You got to get out. You got to mix it up, meet other people, and learn some things. And as you said, Scott, it'll trigger ideas that will first open your eyes to that there's something different, and then give you kind of the confidence to explore it more and see, does that apply to my situation?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's good to come to more than one of those events. But I tell you, there'll be a lot of people that'll be there that weekend in November, and they will go, "Oh, I didn't know that. That makes sense. I want to do it now." And they will change their business for the better, because they took time to leave, Cleveland, Ohio, and come out to San Diego. That's what'll happen. It happens every time, and it's been happening for all these decades.
Yeah. First time I went to one in Tahoe with you a year ago. It was cold outside.
Yeah.
Remember, I pulled you out the side, and Steph's like, "Holy crap." And I'm like, crap, there's some things we really need to be doing. And you look at me like, "Dude, it's okay. Just add a layer each time. Add a little bit here, add a little bit as you go." And I'm like, that's big. And so the point is, what we're adding, big layers for stuff. I mean, that's what I guess. Spend some time with Kevin Day, go through some things. I got to spend some time with Brent, going through some things. You, if you get some time, that's some cool stuff.
I always have time for you.
Yeah, I've met some great people there that are good friends now that help me expand my tribe. And honestly, guys, it's for what is offered, the tuition, the investment of making it out there is so well worth it. Plus, if you're in a cold spot, coming to San Diego where it's nice out right now is even better.
Yeah, one of my friends who's coming out, who's a speaker and a really successful woman, gets written up in, she's been in the New York Times, she's been on all the television shows, but she's coming, and a couple of things. One, she said, I know that I don't spend enough time understanding my business. I'm just always making money, but I'm not learning about business. Mm-hmm. So I need to come. But she goes, the other thing is, if I can leave Indianapolis and come to San Diego in the middle of November, that's a smart move on my part. So
right.
We didn't do this, at least we didn't talk about it in advance, but if, so I have a little code, a promo code that's just for me, to give away. So if somebody goes to Grow, I have to think about this for a second, growin2017.com. And if they want to register, they can put in VIP 2017, VIP 2017. And that's the magic Aaron Young code that for people. And what it basically is you get the early bird price, even though we've been away from early bird pricing for a few months now. As a matter of fact, if we haven't done it yet, like any minute, the price will go up to $1,500, $1,499. and it's completely worth it at $14.99. But I think I'm kind of going to get myself in trouble. I think VIP 2017 is like a $3.99 deal.
Woo! Wow.
And so that gets, obviously you get the 3 days, you get all the food and everything, but also, the cruise that we go out on the bay. And if the weather's good, we'll go out over the bar and go out into the ocean. And it's the one-on-one time. And it's just really, it's a good deal. I mean, I know it's me saying my deal is a good deal, but I'm just telling you,
It is.
It'll be the best $400 you ever spent.
Yeah, because you got the price right now. Hang on here. Let me see if it works here real fast for everybody that's listening or watching.
Yeah, thank you for checking on me, cross-checking.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just check in here. Add the card. Come on. Yeah. Register now. Continue shopping. Yeah, it works. Wow.
And is it does it go to $3.99?
Yeah, because
yeah, because the price is higher now. So it's probably around 900. I mean, around 1,000. It's going to go to 1,500. It's always amazing to me. The day of the event, somebody will show up and say, "Can I register right now?" And they'll pay $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
They'll wait, and we're giving them better opportunities for months. But if they decide at the last minute, and you know what, they don't mind, and they sit there and they get way more than that $1,500 worth of value. So way more. Well.
Yeah, it drops. Actually, it drops off. Discount supply. Yeah, it drops it down to $3.90. Because it's right now saying $7.99 and drops it down to $4.99 on that. So.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was $3.99.
Hang on, maybe I'm just doing my math wrong here. Hang on here.
I don't know.
Yeah, it drops it. It takes $300 off. Drops it down to $4.99.
$4.99. Well, still
cheap. Jesus Christ.
I don't. This is what happens when you're the owner and you're not the one actually doing the.
Megan's gonna love us.
Yeah. I'm glad you. But thanks for bringing me on today, Scott, and giving me the chance to mention that. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. It's I am really looking forward to spend some time you and Michelle and Megan and Brent and Scott and Kevin. And Jim and everybody this time around.
I think it's going to be a great. You're going to love this.
Nick as well. Nick being there. Nick Halleck.
Yeah, and our MC is Michelle Young. Our MC is my wife, which is so freaking cool. I would have never thought to ask her to do that, but my brilliant vice president of marketing, Megan, did. And Michelle, so Steph wasn't able to come out to the event up at the beach, but now we're going to all get Michelle a little taste of that at the Magnify Your Wealth. Anyway,
it's amazing. And I know you got to go here, but it's amazing. 3 years ago, almost to the day, or 3 years ago, we were walking down South Congress after you took an event. We took you to dinner.
Yep.
You're talking about Michelle going to some coaching thing for the first time to start doing this. And you were so thrilled, and her blog had just been going. And it's amazing seeing the growth in the last 3 years. Man. You would never have thought where she is today is where she would have, from 3 years ago.
No,
right?
It's so much more than I would have ever expected. I mean, I knew she was a brilliant woman, and I mean, I've adored her for 30 years. We've been married 30 years, so probably 31 years since I met her. But actually, it's been a little over 31 years. We didn't date very long, man. Well, we went on our first date in September and got married in February.
Wow.
So it went fast. But the point is, I knew she was awesome all these years, but whenever she sets her mind to do something, she always becomes very good at it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thrilled for her. I'm glad that people are gonna get a little bit of a taste of her magic there at the event, and it'll be a nice offset to the hardcore business stuff. So I'm glad you guys are gonna be there. I guess we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Guys, as always, check it out. growin2017.com. Use the VIP code. VIP 2017 knocks it down. It still makes it very, very affordable for you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to freak anybody out.
You're good. You're good, brother. Don't worry about it. We didn't even discuss that in the front end about this. I just had it around.
But it's a better deal right now. And anybody on your team, that's part of your tribe, I'd love to have them there. Love it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, you have a good day. Give our best to everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks, Aaron.
See you, Scott. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Once again, thank you for joining us. If you love what we do me a favor, share this. If you really enjoy it, leave a review on Stitcher or iTunes. One of the biggest things that helps us is to see the reviews. We don't always need glowing reviews. Don't get me wrong. We love them. I'm not going to ever deny a 5-star review, but we always want to hear from you. So as always, if you want to drop me an email at Scott at the Note Closers Show podcast. Actually, I think that's my email. Scott at notecloserspodcast.com. I'll be glad to reach out in any way that I can for you. So once again, guys, go out, make something happen. If you're struggling and hitting a wall, because everybody struggles and hits a wall. Everybody does. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to pick yourself up and just go network, go somewhere else, get outside your own environment. Sometimes it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And so until we meet again in the next episode, have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at the top. Bye, everybody.